Good morning.
Good morning.
It's July 23, and this is Kirk and Tiffany with Seeking the Glory of God Ministries, and we have another End Times devotional.
So how is the book of Revelation written? It seems like prophetic language, but is it in sequential order, like the end of it sort of seems to be? Well, let's start by reading Ecclesiastes 3, 1-8. It says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace." Well, throughout the revelation of Jesus Christ, John saw past, present, and future events. And it seems that many people miss this because they seem to think that everything should happen in a sequential manner. In other words, all the plagues have to happen in a certain order. Each successive chapter follows the previous chapter in order on a timeline, and so forth. However, that is not true. The book of Revelation is not written linearly, but prophetically. This means that what we're reading is not happening in a sequential order. Time was made for man, but God is outside of time. Therefore, when a prophet, or in this case an apostle, sees what's happening in heaven, it can be difficult to translate that into a world where there's time. The Lord said in a prophetic word on September 10 of 2021, He said, "The minutes, hours, days, and years are for men. The times, seasons, epochs, and eons are the Lord's. Therefore I have made time for men, but my kingdom stands forever and is not dependent on time. My prophets look into the things of the kingdom. They see things that I have set in motion. I tell them when I am about to do a thing. They translate what they see and hear from my kingdom and bring it to men. This translation is difficult for them because of the transition from the eternal to the temporal." And he went on to say in another prophetic word in October 24 of 2022, he said, "When I speak to my prophets, and when they prophesy about an event in the future, I have taken them out of their time paradigm and then placed them back into it in a different moment. They view the event and then go back to where they left off. And for this reason, it's difficult for them to timestamp a future event unless I tell them they see something which has a date on it, or there's some other means by which it can be evaluated. They travel through time in the spirit, and it only takes an instant to happen." So when we read Revelation or any prophetic vision or word, we have to resist the urge to make it fit into a preconceived timeline. John saw the fall of Satan, the birth of Christ, the return of Christ, and everything in between in a very mixed up order. He was seeing visions outside of time. And it's the same as when the scriptures declare that Jesus was the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. On the earth, we put the sacrifice of Christ into a timeline, but God says it was done before we ever saw it happen. Revelation is written prophetically, not sequentially. It can only be interpreted then by the spirit of prophecy who brings us revelation into the mysteries of God.
Boy, that's really good. And so true. I think just the recent events testify to the truth in that, in what you're saying here, for prophets going into a place where there's no time and then coming back into a place where there is time. How many prophets thought the events that have been going on the last 3-4 years should have happened a long time ago? Most of them that I know of, they all thought that it would happen much sooner than it actually has. But it's just one of those cases. I find that timing is one of the most difficult things, unless the Lord specifically tells you. I can kind of help you visualize this. I've had visions of things happening. Okay, I go outside of this time and go see this event happening. I come back all excited about having seen this event and totally believe that it's going to happen like right now. I mean, it should be happening any minute, because that is amazing, and it gets you excited, really, to see what God is doing. And then nothing happens, and you wait a year, 2 years, and finally you see it starting to happen. Maybe, and it may be much longer than that. Of course, I mean the prophets. It talks about in Hebrews how a lot of people went to their grave before the events that they prophesied happened.
Yeah, before their promised thing ever came to pass.
Right.
But
yeah, so yeah, it's just so true. It's just it's hard to estimate or guess or what, unless he tells you specifically a timeline on a certain thing.
Yeah,
it's difficult. So
right. So that's why a lot of prophecy you don't realize until it's come to pass that was the prophetic word happening. Sometimes you see it in the middle of it, but at any rate, Revelation is not written in order according to a timeline. So we'll be going into Revelation, and that will help us.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's really good. So, Jesus loves you so much.
He does.
Did you know that there are over 40 million people in slavery against their will today, and that over 99% of these people are female, women, and girls?
Most of these women and girls have no life or job skills, and they desperately need assistance. Destiny Road partners with organizations in the U.S. and in other nations that assist these trafficked victims in prevention programs, outreach, safe houses, counseling and health, encountering the love of Jesus Christ, vocational training, and economic empowerment. Just one of our partners has rescued over 500 women in the Asia-Pacific area, which is home to over 70% of trafficked victims. Many of these women and children become born again when they experience the love of Jesus Christ through their rescuers, and their lives are never the same. Your purchase from Destiny Road helps these rescued and at-risk individuals continue to make an honorable living. Please visit www.destinyroadstore.com for more information. Thank you, and God bless.